Hi friends, it's been a minute. Let me show you guys my little baby. I did something impulsive and I got a kitten. Hi my love. Hi. I low-key woke her up. I'm so sorry. She loves sleeping on my bathroom mat. But that's Aurora, my little furry friend, my new little furry friend, my little bro bestie. I need to get a tripod too because I'm literally using my soap dispenser to prop this phone up. But yeah, her name's Aurora. I named her after my favorite princess growing up, which was Sleeping Beauty. And it's so funny because before I got her, my aunt was sending me pictures of her, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna name her Aurora. She's so pretty. Not knowing that she is literally the epitome of a Sleeping Beauty. Like, she sleeps all the time, entirely too much sometimes. Like, I'll be talking to her, trying to, make conversation, and mid-convo, she'll doze off. Like, girl, I'm not that boring. Like, can you stay up for more than 2 seconds? But yeah, she's literally so cute, my favorite. I told myself I would never get any pets because it's not anything that has to do with like I didn't think that I was responsible enough. I just felt like kind of like this selfish guilt in a way where I knew that I'm always going to be at work and I'm going to be working, or I'm going to be leaving the house all the time or whatever it is. And it's like, yeah, I am so happy that I have her now because I get to look forward to playing with her and spending time with her. So she's my favorite. Also, side note, Aurora means dawn in Latin, and it kind of just reflects the light and happiness that she brought into her kingdom, and she literally does that for me here at my home. So I'm happy with her. Anyways, I haven't posted in a minute, and I think one of the main reasons is because I've just been going through like a lot of changes, and I've just been really busy and working on a lot of like self-passion projects. So I'm super excited to like present that and show that to the world and share that with you guys especially. But excuse me, wow. I also feel like I've been just going kind of like through this sort of ego death, or what one may call, the dark night of the soul. And what I mean by that is I feel like a lot of the things that I thought I cared about or wanted, I don't really necessarily care or need anymore or want anymore even. And even just with myself, like the goals that I had set for myself, and the vision that I saw for myself, it's kind of been dismantled in a way because I feel like a lot of it were goals or things that I wanted to impress other people, or not even impress other people, but to kind of like feed my ego in a sense. Or at the end of the day, it was things that I knew weren't going to make me happy, or temporarily happy. And so I've just been doing a lot of like self-reflection and reevaluation of those goals and the vision that I have for myself. And now I feel like I'm more aligned. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to record because low-key, if you know me, I've been going to I like going to the library and like checking out books and stuff. And the books that I checked out are long overdue. So I need to go turn them back in. But I just wanted to show you guys like a few of the books that I checked out. So these are I checked out Your Story Well Told by Corey Rosen, and it's such a good book. I used to love storytelling when I was a kid, whether it was reading stories, listening to stories, or even writing stories, especially writing stories. And I even remember like getting into trouble when I was a kid, like in classes, because I'd be writing, and my teachers would be like, Soraya, put that pencil down. Like, you know what I mean? Just writing my version or living in my own world of Terabithia or Narnia, just like creating my own stories. And so now I've just been trying to get back into the routine of like storytelling and writing stories. Also, I love traveling, and I want to do more traveling this year, more so like solo traveling, because I think it's going to help me like push me out of my comfort zone. I've done a lot of traveling like within the States, but I haven't really done a lot of like traveling outside the country, which has always been a huge passion and goal of mine. And if you know me, I have like a huge Pinterest board, a bucket list, like literally since I was a kid, y'all. Like that's all I ever wanted to do was experience life and travel outside of the world. And so I got this book called Vienna and the Best of Austria, and it just is kind of like a tour guide book of like the best food places and like areas to like visit and museums and all these different like landmarks that you should see. And so I don't know, maybe I'll be going here soon for my birthday or whatever, but I'm super excited for that. But yeah, speaking of ego death, I've been feeling like I've been going through this sort of phase where it's like I'm shedding a lot of, shedding parts of myself that aren't actually me. And I came across this book called The Shift by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. A really great book. I finished it from front to back in like 2 days. And honestly, let me talk about him first of all. He's a well-known author, and one of his New York best-selling books was The Erroneous Zones, which I think is a lot of people know about. But yeah, he's just a kind of like a self-help motivational author / speaker, and he just helps a lot of individuals by using his knowledge and his knowledge of like spirituality and psychology and just practical advice to help individuals overcome challenges and living a more fulfilling life. So I was really interested when I first saw this book, and I just decided to check it out, and I learned a lot from it. So being the geek that I am, I took a lot of like notes. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I took a lot of notes. I even have my laptop here because I wanted to kind of like put all of this into like a script of the key takeaways that I found were really interesting from this book. So one of them being, he talks a lot about kind of like contrasting the ego-driven life that focuses more on like material successes, status, and achievements, and how people use those to kind of like define who they are. And he also emphasizes a lot about how to live a life, the difference between living a life from ego and living a life on purpose, and emphasizing on the inner peace and how you can receive that as well, just from being of service to others. So one of my favorite quotes in here, he states that if what you are is what you have, then if what you are, speak correctly, Soraya. If what you are is what you have, then when you don't have is what you aren't, which I think is a perfect depiction of like our modern day world and society, where it's like everybody has this sort of like attachment to the material possessions that they own. And so you see it with people who've hit the lottery or people who have tons of money but still feel empty inside, where we attach ourselves to these possessions, and when we lose it, or when we've actually finally gained it, it's like we still feel empty, or we feel like we're lost, or we're still missing something in life. And so that goes into resulting into feeling unworthy or feeling like you're a failure. So I think it's important to understand that when you're attaching yourself or defining yourself and living in from this ego sense of self, you're gonna be in this constant loop of always striving, wanting more, needing more, and never actually feeling like you've arrived at a place of contentment. So that goes into the second key takeaway of letting go of attachments. I think this was something that spoke a lot to me because in today's world, if we can learn to let go of external validations and learn how to kind of empower ourselves within, and to master the art of detachment, I think we can find that inner peace or that freedom that we've been, craving or looking for. And I remember, buying my first car outright with my tax return and, just saving the money that I got from working and being able to buy this 2009 Nissan Sentra black car. It was my first car ever, and I was so proud of myself. I remember feeling so proud of myself and feeling so happy that I was able to accomplish this. And not only that, but that vehicle that I had, it went through a lot. Me and her were like this, y'all. It was literally my ride or die. And I had gotten into a car accident with it, and I had to get it fixed, and it started making all these weird noises, and it just wasn't a pretty reliable car, you know what I mean? And so I had like my family and friends who started like making fun of it in a way, and we like called it like the hoopty and stuff. And at first it was funny, and it's still, looking back at it, it's still kind of funny, but I remember I let it get to my head to a point where it was like I felt kind of ashamed to have it, and I felt like I, didn't have like the best car, and I needed a better car, and people were making fun of me when I drove it around, and it didn't have like any tinted windows, and so I was like embarrassed to like drive in this like fishbowl. And and it had an aux cord. It wasn't like Bluetooth or anything. Like, it was a pretty like, it's a '09 Nissan Sentra, like super small. And I just felt like kind of like ashamed and embarrassed to drive around in it, and not realizing that this car has literally helped me in so many ways that is unexplainable. Like, it got me to where I needed to go from like A to B. It went through a lot with me. It kept me safe even after and during that car accident. It even allowed me to drive on the freeway without like retraining myself to drive on the freeway without feeling anxious. I would literally take my car and cruise and drive by myself and drive on the freeways and get on the freeways, and without the anxiety that came with just driving in general. I don't know if anyone has that, or if anyone knows about that, but like I used to hate driving because I would always feel anxious driving around lots of people, and even especially the freeway. But it helped me be able to do that, and so it's like I get on the freeway like it's nothing, y'all. Like, and it also, like, I had a lot of great experiences in it as well, just by myself and with other people. I taught my brother how to, like, it was like the test car in a sense. And I taught my brother how to drive in it so that he could pass his permit test after who knows how many times, but he passed it eventually. And it was because we were able to use my car to do that. And so to go from like feeling super proud of myself, and then to going to feeling shamed because I let other people, outside noise kind of depreciate the value of my car that I, was so proud of, and more so proud of myself for being able to accomplish that. And then going, to becoming super grateful and humbled by the fact that, it was a beautiful car and I had great experiences in it, and that's all that mattered. But now I drive like a more reliable car, and it's V8 engine, so you can imagine it eats so much gas. Like, I honestly want to hit myself and bang myself against the wall sometimes when I think about it. It has a sunroof, and it has these chrome wheels, and it's a nice, beautiful car. But it's like, if I could, any day, if I could, go back, I would have appreciated my car more. And so I think that's also goes to say that the things or the objects that we collect only hold as much value as we assign that value to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, so living authentically was also something that he hit on, because I think we can all agree that when we're trying to maintain this fake persona or image, or wearing, putting on these masks after masks every day, it can become very draining. And if I'm being honest, like, just speaking on my behalf, was the root cause of like a lot of the depression and anxiety that I felt within. And now that I have been going through this kind of like ego death, where I'm shedding parts of myself that don't resonate with me anymore, I feel more content now. And I also think that, like, as you guys all know, doing that social media detox, or taking a break from social media, and looking back at like how much content I consumed, and also consumerism is a bitch. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like a lot of the things that we buy, I really do think that we have to be careful with it. And I'm not trying to judge or tell you how to use your money, because at the end of the day, that's your money. You control it, you spend it, and spend it however you want. But I just remember, like, even looking back at like all these the Stanley Cups, and no offense to anyone who has a Stanley Cup, y'all are troopers and I love that for you, but like, there was lines in Target for these Stanley Cups, and people were going feral over them. Like, people were going to war with them, like would literally get into arguments with other, like with strangers, with complete strangers over them. And it's just like, I mean, we see that on Black Fridays, how that used to be too. But it's just like consumerism, capitalism, like all of these huge billion-dollar companies, you really have to be careful on the things that you buy and really ask yourself why you're buying these things too. Is it because it's trendy? Is it because it's the coolest thing in town now? Is it because other people say that you should get it, and if you don't get it, that you're not considered cool? Or is it to show that you have, you know, this amount of money or whatever it is? It's like, make sure that you're buying these things because it actually genuinely makes you happy, and it's not, you're not doing it just to fill a void within yourself. So let's see here, what else did I write? Oh, I just want to say too, like, I'm not judging anyone, because I do think like it's a natural like process of our spiritual journey to attain everything we want in this material world. And they also say that it's, you know, part of our ego's journey to kind of go through this phase where we have to conquer some things in the materialistic world, or of the materialistic world, to know that, you know, to give our ego the recognition that it needs to feel recognized, or to feel like it can make a lot of money. And I think that for us, like, our ego needs to be kind of crystallized in a sense in order for it to be dismantled. And crystallization looks very different for everybody. I mean, you have some people where they feel like little is more than enough for them to feel empowered and to be on good terms with life and to be able to make peace with their desires. And you have some people where they need to attain everything in the materialistic world, to realize that at the end of the day, like, desire is just a bottomless well. And half of those things, most of those things, all of these things, right, you can't take with you in the afterlife. But yeah, you do definitely like have a lot of goals, and you have things that you want to buy for yourself because you never had someone buy it for you, or you probably grew up in like poverty or whatever it is. Like, it's very natural for us to like want these things, but understanding, like I said, to master the art of detachment and not letting these physical objects, materialistic things define us, who we are, and remembering who we are, and not doing these things to build our ego, is very important to kind of like distinguish, or, you know, differentiate between what's more important and what's worth it. So embracing change is also, I have 7 key takeaways if that helps. But this is number 4, which is embracing change. When we're more open-minded, we tend to be more optimistic, and when we're closed-minded, we tend to be more pessimistic. And I think if we can think or look through this world through the lens of God, and understand that anything is possible, and there's endless possibilities, and we see it time and time again within history, right, that there are people who are just normal people just like us, who just made that conscious decision that they were going to be the exception. I mean, dating back all the way from like Amelia Earhart, who was the first female solo aviator who traveled across the Atlantic Ocean by herself. I mean, you have Nelson Mandela, Michael Phelps, like all these people who have accomplished these big things, these huge things, who have moved, you know, a huge movement, and inspiring other people to speak up or fight or accomplish things for themselves, is super empowering, and also inspirational. But I just think that it's you know, embracing change can be seen as scary because we're all humans, and the unknown is pretty scary, especially because we want to know like all the W's, why, when, where, what is going to happen, when is it going to happen. But I think embracing change, embracing the unknown, knowing that if we are open to miracles, open to, you know, the good things of life, it's going to align with us, and it's going to bring into all these good things are going to happen and bring into our awareness. And it might feel uncomfortable at first, and I think a lot of us might feel lost because you lose kind of like a sense of yourself. But you know, your old you is going to cost, or the new you is going to cost you your old you, which means that you have to shed the dead skin, you know what I mean? And it's scary, but just like a caterpillar in its cocoon, doesn't know that it's going to become a butterfly. But I think if you're open to it and you allow yourself to, trust the transformation in the process, and you're open to change and new experiences, you'll find that it's, for the first time you're flying, and it's so beautiful and more powerful than you come out more beautiful and powerful than when you first started. Spiritual growth. So I think like in this book, Dyer honestly underscores a lot about, the power, and it kind of suggests that when you are connecting with the higher power, God, or your higher self, or whatever people call it these days, you find yourself finding a deeper purpose and sense of life. And I think for me, meditation was kind of this obscure, abstract thing for me, because it was like always demonized, or it was misunderstood, or I just didn't quite fully understand it. And now that I've done it and practiced it a lot, I feel like I am just more at peace with myself. And I also think I want to mention, like, your form of prayer or seeking God and your personal relationship with God is going to be different for everyone. And I don't think that you should allow other people to define your relationship with God and how you connect with God. I mean, prayer is, whether that's, through meditation, or affirming through prayer, or just expressing your God-given talents and gifts outwardly and sharing that with the world, whether it's through your artwork or your writing or your athleticism, whatever it is, whatever talent or gift that you have, that's you connecting to God in a sense. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. But going back to like meditation is something that I've been practicing lately, and it was difficult for me at first because I thought it meant like you had to kind of like, I thought it was something that helped quiet your mind, not knowing that when you're trying to meditate, my mind at least is going like 100 miles per hour. Like, I'm thinking about so many different things. I'm just an overthinker naturally. But I'm realizing that meditation is more so a portal to navigate through all those thoughts and emotions that I have into the quiet and stillness that is already there, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, now I'm able to like hear God more and rejuvenate the intuition that we all have. That's a gift of ours. And it's our birthright that has been suppressed for so long. And then 2 more. So number 6 is being service to others. He really emphasizes a lot on this because there's been a lot of research, just a lot of substantial research showing that when you are engaging in lots of acts of service, and you're helping others, you tend to experience higher levels of happiness and well-being compared to those who do not. So there are some key studies that I found. So like the impact of volunteering, where there was a study published in Journal of Social Science and Medicine, found that individuals who volunteered regularly and had lower mortality rates and higher levels of life satisfaction and happiness than non-volunteers. There's also a lot of psychological benefits of helping others. So there's this research by University of Pittsburgh showing that engaging in helping behaviors activates brain regions associated with, pleasure and reward, such as the, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, the ventral striatum, I believe, and the septal area. And then you also see that there's this positive feedback loop. So there was this study that showed that helping others can create a positive feedback loop, and performing acts of kindness increases happiness, which in turn motivates more, altruistic behaviors. And then eudaimonic well-being. So research highlights that people who focus on eudaimonic well-being, living in accordance with, values, their true self, and what's it called? Which often includes helping others, kind of report higher levels of over life satisfaction compared to those who focus solely on hedonic well-being, which is pleasure seeking. So, I mean, all these studies kind of collectively suggest that, when you're being of service to others, there's a significant entrance of, one's happiness and overall sense of, their well-being. So I also think like law of attraction is, a lot of people talk about a lot of law of attraction, where you manifest everything and you ask and you demand and all these different things. But I also think law of attraction works both ways too. So the more, if you're in this like needy, gimme mentality, and you just have to be really careful, because the more you demand of the universe, the more the universe demands of you. But the more you give away, the more is given. So, I mean, I learned my lesson too, to go from like, upgrading my car, and it's like now I have, the things that I need to fix on my car, it's more expensive. It takes up a lot of gas. So it might be a bigger, better, newer car, but it comes with its cons too. So yeah, just like more money, more problems. Shout out to Biggie, that it's really true. And then I want to end this with inner peace. So I think at the end of this, all, it's safe to say that when you transition or allow yourself to transition from living a life of ambition to meaning, so you're being of service to others, you're being your authentic self, you're not attaching yourself to prized possessions or material possessions or even status, your career, the job, or your relationships even, you will find that you are more at peace and content with your life, and you don't need all of these external validation or these external things to make you feel empowered or feel happy inside, if that makes sense. So I think just starting off, just to proclaim that, if you want to move into a more, if you want to feel more aligned with your highest self, and into your spiritual self, because that's who we all are at the end of the day, I think just proclaiming that you want to be more authentic, and you want to live more authentically, and you want to let go of your false self ego and embrace and accept that, you'll ultimately realize that it leads to a lot of inner peace, reduced stress, and a more harmonious existence. So I'm proclaiming that now, that I don't need a lot of the things that I thought I wanted in life. I'm letting go of my false ego self, whatever that means, whatever I've learned, and just kind of deconstructing everything that isn't me. And I'm learning, and I'm shedding a lot of those versions of myself shedding parts of myself that aren't necessarily me, without understanding the importance of duality too, because all of those were me in a sense. So just not being hard on myself, but just being more open-minded, and just like the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I'm in this learning curve of shedding my old self, for sure. Anyways, that's it. Bye.